Hello, my name is HAPruitt, and I am the author of the Anathalian series, and I am also an editor. And this video and this video series is going to be about editing your book. I'm going to explain how to edit a book, all the stages, all the steps. Not all steps are going to be absolutely necessary to edit a book, but all of the steps will be helpful in making your book the best it can be, whether you're traditional publishing or self-publishing. A lot of them will apply to both before you even get your book to the point of sending it to query or sending it to an editor. This will help you self-edit your book to make it the best it can be. If you want to know about my editing services or the 4 types of editing, I have that in a video, and I'll put that video down in the description you can watch. If you're interested in hiring me as an editor, or you just want to know like the basics of the 4 types of editing, then you can watch that video linked in the description. And if you have any questions or if you have suggestions of editing topics, please leave them in the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the video for this week. So this is the 9th video in the editing series. It will be about ellipsis marks. I had someone specifically ask a question about, several questions about ellipsis marks. So I'm going to do a video in this editing series about it. I made another video about ellipsis marks, so if you have questions, go to that video. I'll link it in the description below. Watch that video, watch this video. If you still have questions, ask me any questions you want to ask me. And also, I am an editor, so if you're like, forget ellipsis marks, this is weird, I just need an editor, I can be your editor. Okay. So first we're going to talk about, please let go. Stop. Guys. Mommy's being serious right now, okay? First, we're going to talk about what is an ellipsis mark used for. Okay, so it's used for a pause in dialogue, as if your character pauses to think. Just like that, as if they're talking and then they kind of pause to try and figure out what to say, or for any reason, a pause in dialogue. Second, an ellipsis mark is used for trailing off in dialogue, like at the end of a sentence and they can't quite think of, and they never finish their sentence. At the end of a sentence they trail off, or they could finish their thought, but kind of like there's this pause they do. You know when people talk and it doesn't feel like they're quite done, but they get quiet. Kind of like that, trailing off. And then the third reason to use an ellipsis, when a character enters a conversation and another character's dialogue gradually becomes clear. So if your character is hearing everything another character says, you do not use an ellipsis mark. But if they're like in a room and the other person's in another room and they can kind of hear that they're talking and they start to go in that other room and it becomes gradually clear, that's what I'm talking about. But if they cannot hear them, don't show that your character can hear them talking. And if they can hear them, go ahead and put all the dialogue there. We'll talk about that a bit more later. Okay, so what is an ellipsis not used for? It is not used in prose. It's just not. There may be some exception to this rule, but it's just usually not used in prose. That's anything that's not dialogue. It's usually only used in dialogue. Okay. What is it not used for? An ellipsis is not used to cut off or for an interruption. That is an M dash, the long dash. I have videos about that. If you need the link, just ask me and I'll give it to you. Don't use it for cutting off or for interruption when it's a abrupt stop to someone. And do not use an ellipsis for a list. And there's several other ways people use them. Like some people use them just like a period, and that's not. If you stop your sentence, that's a period. I don't know why that's become a thing, but don't use an ellipsis in place of a period. An ellipsis is for that silence in between when someone's talking or at the end of someone's talking when it feels like they still should be. Okay, so second thing about ellipsis marks, spacing. So this can vary, please don't touch that. This can vary depending on the location, like if you're in, I'm going to say Canada, oh goodness, Britain or Canada, or if you're in America, they use this differently. It can vary, or it can vary on the style you use, like Chicago style or whatever. But this is what I do, and sometimes it can be different. So if it's, hey, can you please be quiet so I can do this? So this is the way I do it. This is the style I have learned. Use a space between an ellipsis and a word. That's pretty simple. Use a space between an ellipsis and a word. Guys, I'm going to put you in your room and let you play in your room while I do my video if you can't. Let me do this, okay? I'm very sorry. Okay, second thing about spacing. No space belongs between an ellipsis and a punctuation. So if your character trails off, and that's the end, don't put a space between the ellipsis mark and the quotation mark. No space there. Okay, so that's how you do spacing. And third thing about an ellipsis mark, use an ellipsis, not 3 periods. Go to the insert tab in Word. It has like the marks. It's on, okay, it will be for you. Home tab, go to insert. When you click the insert tab, it'll be at the very end on the far right. And you just look up the ellipsis and then it'll be in your most used symbols. I have seen on my phone when I type 3 periods, it changes it to an ellipsis mark automatically. So maybe your device does that. Maybe not. Just check and see, but use an ellipsis mark, not 3 periods for an ellipsis mark. Okay, so specific questions. Hey, if you want to do that, go in a different room. If you want to, it is symbols. If you want to do that, go in a different room. Okay, specific questions. So fourth, I have some specific questions that I'm going to answer those right now. So the first question was, how do you use an ellipsis before a character's sentence? So I took this to mean in the dialogue, like a quotation mark, ellipsis, space, words. And that's how you would do it. Okay, it's backward to me. You'd use your quotation mark, no space, put your ellipsis, put a space, and then start your words. But this is very uncommon, and it is only for indiscernible speech becoming clear. Like if I'm kind of talking like this and then I start getting louder and you can hear me and I was talking too low to hear at first, that would kind of be because the character can hear but they can't distinguish what is said. If your character walks in on a conversation that is being had and they didn't hear it but suddenly they're hearing it, don't use an ellipsis. Just use where they walk in. Even if it's in the middle of a sentence, just start in the middle of a sentence. Don't use the ellipsis mark because suddenly they can hear it. It's an abrupt thing, not a gradual thing. The only time I can think that I thought it was appropriate to use this in my whole series of Anathalion was when Kendall, my main character, was in a crowd and she was walking through the crowd and she could hear tons of noise going constantly, but as she was walking, certain conversations became louder and then quieter, and so I started with an ellipsis, ended with an ellipsis to kind of show like she can kind of hear the conversation and then it kind of dies down, like that kind of idea. But if someone also in another part of the series, she is overhearing a conversation and she can't hear part of it, and so I didn't use an ellipsis there. I just started the sentence where she could hear it. So that one's very uncommon to start dialogue with an ellipsis. And my series is like 8 books, and that's the one time I thought it was okay to use it. So if that gives you an idea, it's very rare. And second question about specific questions. How do you end a sentence with an ellipsis? Okay, so my example was, I don't know. That would be the words. And so after no, you put a space, an ellipsis, no space, go to your quotation mark. So that one's pretty easy. A space between the word and the ellipsis, no space between the ellipsis and the quotation mark. And you do not use a period after an ellipsis. You do not need a period. And you may use a question mark, but usually the sentence itself tells you if it's a question, and you're probably not going to use an exclamation mark because if you're yelling, it's usually an abrupt thing. You don't yell in a question. You don't yell in indecisiveness. Usually if you yell, you're pretty decided on what you want to say. So there's usually no punctuation after the ellipsis besides the quotation mark. Okay, and then the third question, how do you use a secondary sentence after the ellipsis? So I took this to mean the character's talking, and then they kind of change their thought and start a new sentence. So 2 sentences connected with an ellipsis within dialogue. So you have your quotation mark. My example was, I think, space, ellipsis, space, capital letter. Well, let's go ask. So if that wasn't clear, again, you do, let me see, quotation mark, I think, put a space, put an ellipsis, put another space, capitalize it if it's a new sentence. If it's not a new sentence, don't capitalize it. If it is a new sentence, capitalize your letter, and then do your sentence. So I hope that was all clear. I hope very much that was all clear. I hope that answered questions. Ellipsis marks are very tricky. Like I said, I am an editor. I know all these things. If you're like, I just need an editor, contact me through my website. It's in the description below. And that is all for this video. So that is the editing tip for this week. Please like this video, please leave a comment, please share this video with others. Please check out that video of my editing services and the 4 types of editing in the description below. And remember, this video is part of a series, so please watch the series so you can make your book the best that it can be. If you want to know more about Anna Thalian or HAPruitt, please follow me on Instagram at HAPruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, HAPruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, HAPruitt Anna Thalian. You can find me on the Facebook page, HAPruitt Anna Thalian. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name HAPruitt and the book Anna Thalian. Or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anna Thalian is. The website is HAPruitt.com.